We bring you the morning edition of MBC News with me, Ubile Gaisa. The headlines.
Education sector allocated a lion's share in the proposed 2026-2027 national budget. Tobacco Commission assures tobacco farmers of better prices during this year's tobacco selling season. And over 170 households in Mangochi have been displaced as water levels continue to rise in the Shire River.
And now the news in detail. As parliamentarians are scrutinizing financial allocations under the proposed 2026-2027 national budget through cluster committees, our reporters Mwain Tumodzi and Lonjezom Sodoka take a closer look at the proposed budget for the education sector. The education vote has been allocated a lion's share in the financial blueprint, with funds totaling 1.28 trillion kwacha, representing 11.7% of the total budget. Details in this report.
I'm pleased to report that the budget I'm presenting before you, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is people-centered, it is pro-poor, it is developmental, as well as transformative.
In his presentation of the national budget a fortnight ago, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization, Joseph Mwanamveka, told the National Assembly that resources amounting to 47.6 billion kwacha have been allocated to cover the introduction of free primary and secondary education, which started on 1st January this year in order to increase equitable access to education and provide a fair chance to access knowledge among students regardless of their socio-economic background. Of this amount, 31.7 billion kwacha is for free secondary education to cater for development fees and 15.9 billion kwacha for free primary education to cater for general purpose fees. Mutan Tambala is the chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on Education and says the initiative needs support from all Malawians because education remains key in human capital development, which is crucial in achieving the country's aspirations of becoming a middle-income and self-reliant economy by 2063.
We would say that government has tried its best to allocate a lot of resources to the Ministry of Education. Gaps can be there. But what I can say is Minister of Finance and Minister of Education should sit down together and look at the gaps that are there and how they can fill those gaps. Education is a fundamental right. Education, it is what we call, it brings human capital. So it is very much important that as the President has started investing a lot of resources in education, this has to be implemented, this has to be utilized efficiently, so that at least this deliberate policy should bear fruits.
However, concerns remain over the implementation of previous education budgets. Recently, the Civil Society Education Coalition, CSEC, released a report on its analysis and tracking of the 2025-2026 budget implementation in the education sector. The report exposed that only 77% of the financial allocation to the ministry was disbursed. Chairperson of the coalition, Benedicto Gondowe, says the issue requires close attention from Parliament to ensure that approved resources reach intended programs.
The view that we should not just look at what has been allocated. We need to look at how much has been disbursed and how much has been utilized. Because from the 6 districts where we tracked the national budget, we have established that in terms of disbursement to date, only 77% has been disbursed. And we're remaining with about 20 days. Yet we have in excess of 200 billion yet to be disbursed, meaning that there has to be a match between the approved budget and the disbursement.
Meanwhile, Kondowe suggests that out of the 5 billion kwacha that has been allocated to Constituency Development Fund CDF, 10% should go towards the education sector. The 2026-2027 budget also has an allocation of 11 billion kwacha to teaching and learning materials in both primary and secondary schools. This represents a 122% increase from the 2025-2026 revised provision of 4.96 billion kwacha. In addition, a total of 45.7 billion kwacha has been allocated to operations of secondary schools and teacher training colleges in the amounts of 31.4 billion kwacha and 14.3 billion kwacha respectively. For the country's 6 public universities, government has allocated resources amounting to 234.3 billion kwacha. Out of this, 42 billion kwacha will go straight to supporting about 40,000 students in public universities. Lusubiro Pili and Christian Madzaenda are among the students at the Lilongwe University of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Luana, who are beneficiaries of the Higher Education Student Loans Board, and this is what they had to say.
I'm very happy about this development because it's going to help a lot of students to afford education, to afford to find things like food, accommodation. It's going to help a lot of students to pursue their education.
As needy students, we were lacking lots of fees for our education. So by setting aside so much money, that will help us to achieve our goals.
Commenting on the same, Vice Chancellor for Luana, Professor Emmanuel Kaunda, hailed government for the increase, describing it as the best move in the promotion of higher education in the country.
Earlier on from the loans board, I think they were 35,000. Now they've increased to 40,000. It's a big thing for us. And for the 2 billion, sometimes when we go to Minister of Finance, we don't talk about universities. We have to talk to Minister of Finance to say, Minister of Finance, increase the cake for loans board. Because by doing that, it means we are having lots of students who are supported. So most of the students that I'm trying to say, who come here, they are needy students. So we were very happy, and I'm very happy, and I'm sure my colleagues also are very excited about that announcement. I would say kudos to the government for such an initiative.
As the budget process moves towards approval, education stakeholders say ensuring timely disbursement and effective use of the allocated resources will be key to translating the funding into better learning outcomes.
There is relief and hope following the special budgetary allocation of 3 billion kwacha in the national budget towards the establishment of dialysis units, starting with Mzuzu Central Hospital. Until now, the northern region does not have a dialysis unit, a situation that burdens those in need of the services. Those in need of the service have to travel long distances to other regions to access dialysis support. Kidney Foundation Malawi Executive Director Samuel Kumanje describes the move as critical towards saving more lives. Catherine Banda has filed a report.
During the 2026-2027 national budget presentation, the Minister of Finance, Joseph Mwanamveka, indicated an estimated 1.02 trillion kwacha allocated towards the health sector. He said out of this allocation, 3 billion kwacha has been earmarked for the establishment of the dialysis units in phases approach, starting with the Mzuzu Central Hospital. Now, the Kidney Foundation Malawi Executive Director, Samuel Kumanje, believes the move is a significant approach in helping patients towards accessing effective and affordable treatment. He said the organization has been lobbying for the establishment of dialysis centers in the north, arguing some fail to attend their medical sessions due to longer distances, while some are forced to relocate to Lilongwe or Blantyre just to be close to the dialysis facilities.
In the previous budget, the dialysis services were actually included as part of the medication. So in this particular area that they have actually allocated a separate budget, this has been a very recommendable job that we are expecting even the government itself, even the Minister of Health, to take a serious note and take an approach that is going to help the patient themselves to access treatment which is effective and at the same time affordable.
Malawi Health Equity Network Executive Director George Jobe said the allocation aligns and respond positively to their submissions to the government during the pre-budget consultations.
We have also been advocating for a dialysis machine in Mzuzu for districts in the northern region. And we have seen that has been allocated. We commend it. This is a plus. As we said, that the dialysis machine in Nzuzu is very important. It is going to save lives. It is going to decongest Kamuzu Central Hospital, because the north was saved by Kamuzu Central Hospital.
Ministry of Health spokesperson Adrian Chikumbe said some preparatory works to having such machines at Nzuzu Central Hospital have since commenced.
People from the north have been deprived of dialysis services at Nzuzu Central Hospital for quite a long time, and now an allocation of this money in the budget is now a huge relief to us, because we're going now to install the dialysis machines at Nzuzu Central Hospital, so people will not have to go all the way to Lilongwe or even sometimes Blantyre to get dialysis services, because these are services that are supposed to get maybe twice a week, and so it is actually a burden when the services are provided far, like in Lilongwe.
According to the records from the Ministry of Health, the country's central hospitals recorded over 1,000 kidney injuries, with over 780 admissions and 158 deaths. Kamuzu Central Hospital alone attends to an average of 64 patients on dialysis. Catherine Banda, MPC News, Lilongwe.
The Speaker of the National Assembly has challenged private sector players to actively participate in Malawi's legislative processes as a way of promoting economic transformation. Speaker of Parliament Samir Suleiman said this during an engagement meeting Parliament had with the private sector. Suleiman emphasizes that developing laws that are responsive to the needs of the private sector has the potential to fast-track the country's development process. He speaks to our reporter, Trust Office.
There's a lot of things that we can do together. As I mentioned in there, an example is that even our own laws are very old laws that need to be reworked on to meet the current conditions and environment. We cannot have laws that were made in 1950 governing until today. So this is one way of also modernizing our parliament to meet the current standards.
As you know, Parliament is responsible for setting the laws of the country, and those laws most of the times actually affect how businesses operate, the impact on business revenue, the ability for businesses to invest and also recruit people. So for us, I think this is a good platform to have and ensure that we're also exchanging ideas and input and providing input on the impact that decisions that are being made in the Houses of Parliament and the Chamber actually affect private sector.
The Public Accounts Committee (PAC) of Parliament has ordered EMJ Advisory Public Accountants to submit contract agreements, emails and disclose who authorized them to commence consultancy work in the valuation of Amaryllis Hotel without a finalized contract agreement by today, Thursday, 12 March 2025 at noon. Chairperson of the committee, Stephen Baba Malondera, issued the order in Lilongwe when officials from EMJ Advisory Public Accountants appeared before the committee regarding the process surrounding the purchase of the hotel. Details in this report by Lonjozom Sodoka in Madaliso Mhango.
On Wednesday, the Public Accounts Committee (PAC) met stakeholders from EMJ Advisory Public Accountants, a firm that provided auditing, accounting and business advisory services over the purchase of Amaryllis Hotel. The meeting followed a public inquiry launched to investigate the hotel's purchasing process, which attracted public outcry for further inquiry. Appearing before the committee, Director of EMJ Public Accountants Emmanuel Chisale said the firm was engaged in November 2025 by trustees of the Public Service Pension Trust Fund to provide professional advisory services but not to participate in negotiations for the hotel purchase. When asked by the committee whether they are registered property valuers, Chisale said they are not qualified to conduct property valuations but argued that they were capable of undertaking the assignment based on their experience and professional qualifications. Meanwhile, Chairperson of Parliamentary Accounts Committee, Stevie Baba Malondela, has urged EMJ Public Accountants to submit all necessary documents, information and emails to the committee by Thursday noon 12 March 2025.
This is against the law. You cannot start undertaking a business of this magnitude without having a contract. And at the same time, you're looking at the analysis which was done by other asset managers for a period of over 3 months, being done by these colleagues for around 10 days. For us, we feel that there was a challenge, and we're here just to ensure that all the details are brought before us.
Responding to the development, Chisale said the firm was paid 26 million kwacha for the work. He also told the committee that the payment was made after the contract was signed, despite the firm starting the work before the contract agreement had been fully drafted. He said all they did was to offer advisory services.
Our role was that of advisory, that's all. We did the work as advisory. We presented the report, the decision to proceed with whatever decision they made, and the recommendation that was done was left with the board of the pension fund. We did not take part in terms of price negotiations, and we had given recommendations in terms of what were they supposed to do before implementing the recommendations.
Parliamentary Accounts Committee has been meeting involved stakeholders in relation to the purchase of Amaldi's Hotel as part of the inquiry process.
You're watching the morning edition of MBC News. A reminder of our top stories. Education sector allocated a lion's share in the proposed 2026-2027 national budget. Tobacco Commission assures tobacco farmers of better prices during this year's tobacco selling season. And over 170 households in Mangochi have been displaced as water levels continue to rise in the Shire River. Welcome back. For years, local NGOs have focused heavily on empowering girls, tackling challenges like early marriage, high dropout rates, and gender-based barriers. However, the landscape is shifting as organizations expand their reach to include boys in their educational initiatives. George Banda has the details in this report, read by Ruth Chinangwa.
For years, most local non-governmental organizations in the education sector has been focusing their attention on promoting girl-child education. In doing so, the boy child has been left out, even though they face similar challenges like the girl child. However, this kind of approach is fast changing in a number of communities. Meet Asha Machinjiri, a 12-year-old boy from Save Our Souls SOS private primary school in Machinjiri Township in Blantyre, one of the 73 recipients of Best Performing Awards previously given to girls only. As a recipient, he is very excited to be among the first boys to receive the award, and he said he is happy to learn that some local NGOs have now started incorporating boys in their education initiatives.
I received this with very big thanks because it's good to appreciate all genders so that they can work hard. I advise my fellow boys to not take drugs and to work hard in class.
Forum for African Women Educationalists, FAWEMA, is among the NGOs that have changed their approach from promoting girl-child education only to include a boy child in their education programs. Among its new initiatives, the organization has now started giving out various gifts to all Standard 8 top-performing learners in some primary schools across the country. Lydia Mvona is the chairperson of FAWEMA's Blantyre chapter.
We thought of bringing in boys just because FAWEMA has started incorporating boys. That's why boys have been included, whereby we are awarding them for their best performance.
Education commentator Victor Chikwoti, who has long advocated for balanced investment in children's education, welcomed the move, saying it's high time that the boy child gets the attention he deserves.
This is a very good development. It comes against the backdrop of leaving the boy child behind. And in leaving the boy child behind, any program that was aimed at empowering the girl child would not succeed because we live in a society where we are complementary. Much as we need educated girls, much as we need more ladies in the offices, but we will still need the boys, we still need the men in the offices to support these ladies. As a result, any program that only targeted ladies, any program that only targeted the girl child was not feasible because the proper way of empowering the girl child is by empowering the boy child. We really need empowered boy child so that they can understand who the girl is, how the girl can be supported.
The change now reflects a broader understanding in the country's education sector as organizations like FAWEMA adapts to their new strategies. Students like Asha Machinjiri represents the hopeful future where no child, regardless of gender, is left behind.
Tobacco Commission has assured tobacco farmers of better prices during this year's tobacco selling season. In an interview with MBC, spokesperson for the Commission, Telephorus Chigwenembe, says this year's tobacco volume will drop, which increases the chances of higher prices. Blessings Gondo reports.
Spokesperson for Tobacco Commission, Telephorus Chigwenembe, says they are anticipating good prices this season. He also said that last year's tobacco volumes were higher than initially estimated.
Farmers should avoid selling their tobacco to unlicensed buyers because the farmers will lose out. The unlicensed buyers will buy their crop at lower prices. But if they are patient, if they can just wait, they will be selling at the designated or at licensed floors, which will give them competitive prices.
Obrem Seteka, a farmer from Wateleka in Mzimba, expects the 2026 selling season to be better than last year.
As farmers, we want to make profit from our farming. That is why we are asking for better prices this season. This will help us sustain our households.
Another farmer, Naomi Chavula, says this year her area experienced heavy rains, which will likely reduce yield through leaching.
Heavy rains have reduced the soil fertility, but we expect better prices for what we will produce.
Last year, the tobacco market was saturated with higher volumes of tobacco, and the prices dropped from an average of $2 per kilogram to an average of $1 per kilogram. The Tobacco Commission will soon reveal the dates for opening of this year's tobacco selling season. Blessings Gondwe, MBC, Mzimba.
Most business entities and properties in Blantyre have resumed operations after settling the outstanding city rates. This comes just a day after Blantyre City Council shut them down for non-compliance. Mayor Isaac Jomo Osman confirmed that a majority of the affected businesses have now cleared their dues. Chisomo Break reports.
Speaking to MBC, the city's mayor, Councillor Isaac Jomo Osman, said as of Wednesday morning, the council had collected 69.3 million kwacha from business and property owners.
There's a queue, people are running to come and pay. Some of them they're paying online. They just transfer the money. We are also receiving the payments online. And I want to give you one example of Malawi housing. They had a lot of money to give us, but they are showing their commitment and they have actually started paying our money. That's why today when you go there you find out that we have opened their premises. What we are doing, this exercise, we are doing it for the betterment of residents from Blantyre. They are the one who experience hard life. So we want things to change in Blantyre. We want to improve on our services that we are giving to the people. Because as a Blantyre City Council, we are services providers. So we can't just sleep and sit down, even drinking tea, if our people are not on the safe side. So by doing so, we want to renovate some of our roads. You have seen that we have a lot of potholes. Even we are talking about some sanitation issue. We have also the challenge. So the money that we are getting from this excess is going to work on the ground.
Osman has since dismissed some social media reports suggesting that the operation has political connotation.
I feel very sorry because if I remember one of the schools that we closed, one of the presses that belonged to Malawi Congress Party office, even my kid goes to school there. But I am forced to do the job because that is the job that we need to do. And whatever we are doing is not about politics. It's about paying some city lands. Anyone who's not paying our city lands, we are going to deal with that institution, and we are going to do whatever is necessary to be done.
Some of the business entities that were closed include the Malawi Housing Corporation, Pacific Limited, and Nakala Logistics. Some of these companies have paid their rates and have since resumed operations, while some have showed strong commitment to pay their outstanding rates. Osman said the council desperately needs the money to maintain roads and implement other development initiatives in the city. Chisomo Break, MBC News, Blantyre.
Lives of 174 households in Galamo village, Traditional Authority Mapira in Mangochi, have been disrupted due to rising water levels in Shire River. Chief Executive Officer for Mangochi Municipality, Ernest Kadzokoya, told MBC that the number is expected to rise. Francis Banda has filed a report read by Owen Mavula.
Rising water levels in Shire River in Mangochi are disrupting lives of many, with over 170 households confirmed to have been affected so far in the area of Traditional Authority Mapira. A visit to the affected areas reveals that the rising water levels have led to the submerging of houses, displacing families, with most of the affected living in fear. Speaking in an interview with MBC, Chief Executive Officer for Mangochi Municipality, Ernest Kadzokoya, said as the council is looking for support to assist the affected households, relocating them is the lasting solution, saying this is not the first time for the area to be hit by floods.
So far, we have registered 174 households that have been affected. But what is happening now is that the water is rising day by day. So we're hoping the figure will increase. So it's really a huge damage that has occurred, huge investment has gone, and the people are really suffering.
Village headman Ngalamo says his subjects are in need of relief items, including food, and also appealed for support to permanently relocate, saying the village is no longer safe for living.
Having an opportunity given to relocate, we can move out of this place because it is only the government that can support us.
In her remarks, Councillor Fonsuga Mwere Ward, Rhoda Banda, said some of the affected people cannot manage to acquire land for resettlement and need government support as it considers bringing relief items.
The challenge people may experience to relocate is lack of money. The time they were constructing their houses here, they were not expecting this to happen.
In 2024, most of the affected people in the area abandoned their homes due to a similar incident, but returned after some time.
Well, that item concludes this edition of MBC News. A reminder of our top stories before we leave. Education sector allocated a lion's share in the proposed 2026-2027 national budget. Tobacco Commission assures tobacco farmers of better prices during this year's tobacco selling season. And over 170 households in Mangochi have been displaced as water levels continue to rise in the Shire River. Keep up to date with our news coverage on our digital pages by scanning the QR code at the top right corner of your TV screen. You are with me, Opile Kaisa. Thanks for watching. Good morning.